I was working for one of the big accountancy firms, training to be a tax consultant for the rich and famous. I did Kylie Minogue and Elton John's tax returns.
Hi, I'm Sophie and this is Party Games, where I play games with politicians. So I've got the lovely Lib Dem MP Munira Wilson on today.
Hi,
Thank
Sophie.
you for joining me. How are you?
I'm all right.
Are you nervous?
Yes,
to
I
play
am
Jenga?
nervous about playing Jenga.
Do you know Jenga? Have you played it much before?
I know the concept. I've never played it myself, but my delightful 5-year-old son this morning when he was leaving for school was trying to give me tips. He said,
tips.
Mummy, I always take out the loose ones first. So.
That is a good tip for Jenga. Yeah. I'm going to let you go first so you can find the loosest one, and I'm not going to be strict on the rules with this.
Okay, right. Should I go middle?
Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. 5-year-olds' tips are working. Okay, and then we pop that back on there, so we keep building. Give us more stability as we go. So when did you become an MP? How long have you been in this crazy place for?
A little bit over 4 years ago, December 2019.
4 years, December
my first term.
2019. Very slick, I will say. Oh yeah, we've got a side one. We've got our first side one coming out. So yeah, lots of people will wonder why you'd want to be an MP.
Because I'm mad. You don't have much life, but you get the opportunity to help other people and try and make a difference, and that's really what gets me out of bed in the morning and drives me. And it's a massive privilege to serve my community and my country, and that's what I'm here for, really.
Yeah, is it tricky with your work-life balance? You said obviously you've got a 5-year-old.
Yeah, I've got a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they were only 1 and 5 when I got elected. So yes, it is, but I am very, very fortunate, blessed. My husband is largely manages everything at home, and so we're probably quite unusual, sadly, compared to other families where Michael decided a long time ago, even before I became an MP, when I was doing a fairly big corporate job, which took up a lot of my time, that he would be the homemaker. Yeah, you need that foundation, like this Jenga block at the moment.
How about growing up? Was politics in your family with your...
No, so I'm not from a political family at all, and I think they all thought I was a bit mad when I first got involved. But Michael, I met through politics. We have an amusing story of meeting one of the infamous Lib Dem by-election campaigns. We were sent out delivering leaflets together, and our eyes met across a letterbox, as I often like to say. It was the Leicester South by-election in 2004. I'd been out in the hot sun all day canvassing, and I came back to HQ thinking I'll have a break now, but I'd just become a party member of staff, and they like to work us hard when they send us to by-elections. They're like, no, straight out the door again, here's a pile of leaflets, and go out with these 2 guys. And one of them I knew, I'd met him previously, and he introduced me to Michael at that point. Michael swears blind I blanked him. I really didn't, but he claims I did. And then we went in Michael's car, and his tactic of getting my number was, well, if you're going off that way and we're going off this way, then I'd better have your number just in case we lose each other. So that's how he got my number, but put me in his phone as Munira.
I wanted to ask you about when you started off working for an MP who ended up becoming Deputy Prime Minister for David Cameron, Nick Clegg.
Well, he was the second MP I worked for. So the first MP I worked for was actually the Guildford MP, a lady named Sue Doughty, and she was the Lib Dem MP for Guildford 2001 to 2005. And my first job in politics was going and running her election campaign in 2005, which was one of the most marginal seats in the country, which is where I kind of learnt my campaigning craft, as it were. But I only worked for him for about 6 months in the end. But,
Did he teach you anything? Was there anything you remember? Any particular tips you got from?
It wasn't so much tips. I think the thing I remember most about him, he was a hard taskmaster to work for a start. But the thing that I really admired about him, am I going to bring this down? No. Was that his 3 sons were very young at the time, and he was so utterly devoted to them, and he would I mean, he'd be in a bad mood if he hadn't seen them for 24 hours, and he would shuttle back and forth, dash back home to be there for bath time, and then come back in for votes. Which I thought was extraordinary, actually, and a really good role model to other male MPs, I think.
Done a few different jobs since being MP. You're obviously education spokeswoman now for the Liberal Democrats. How do you find that? I mean, schools, pandemic, everything going on there?
Yeah, so I mean, children and young people...
Lucky, yes.
Children and young people, education are passions of mine, and probably one of the reasons I'm in politics, so I was delighted to be able to do this job. My biggest frustration with the role is that it's just not a priority for anyone. Children are our future. We should be prioritising them, investing in them, the key to our future society as well as our future economy.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever, I guess, like, lose hope with being an MP? So many people go to different jobs and you're like, well, I could change society. I can make things better for the kids. And you sometimes think, oh, God, actually, I might just quit all this and go do something completely different.
Look, I'd be lying if I said there weren't frustrations. Of course there are. You know, as an MP, you come in and you get into politics because you do want to change your country or change the world, and ultimately, even if you're an MP in the party of government, there is only so much that you can do, and I think it's understanding and recognising where you can make a difference, as well as just using your voice to articulate the change that is needed, even if that doesn't come about immediately. Where MPs really can make a difference is on individual casework, helping individuals in the constituency with particular issues, impacting local issues in particular. And sometimes you can work either cross-party or on your own within your party to try and create a change at a national level. Last year I got a small legislative change by working with government ministers. I've got things like kinship care on the government's agenda, working in a cross-party way with Labour and Conservative MPs. So you can make a difference. I mean, party politics will always mean that there will be clearly differences and there will be some party politicking, but I think there are issues where we should come together.
And when you do have difficult times in Parliament, you have dark days or whatever, how do you manage that?
Yeah, there are times.
Oh, very good. I play Jenga to relax me.
This is not a relaxing day. I was really angry and upset by what happened in the chamber midweek, and the fact that there's a humanitarian catastrophe in the Middle East, and all you saw was MPs fighting over procedure. It made me feel really depressed about our politics and how debate is being conducted. And I did go to bed quite sad, but then I think, we need decent people of integrity to be in politics to change our politics, so that we don't just keep fueling this and it being in a downward spiral. So, but in terms of how do I keep up my mental health, I do normally like to run, but that for me is absolutely key for both my physical and mental health.
Does it ever scare you if you're a government minister in a big job that you're going to get photographed running with your dog? Because there are so many all the time.
Well, I don't have a dog, but I do worry about the state of me being seen. I mean, I don't know if anybody would be interested in photographing me right now. But yeah, I mean, obviously you worry about being seen not at your best. But yeah, that's
you have to just get used to that as an MP, that kind of everything's on show and everything you do and say.
I've thought about this before, because obviously I live in my constituency. There are a number of MPs, particularly in the other parties, that don't.
In Twickenham.
So yeah, I live in my constituency of Twickenham. And my kids go to school there, I go shopping there, I live my ordinary life, I try and, when I'm doing normal life, and be myself and not necessarily put on a show, and if people don't like that, so be it.
I mean, what other advice would you have for, that was very slick, I didn't even see that happen. What other advice would you have for young people who maybe are interested in going into politics?
Well, I'd say, because often young people say to me, oh, do I need to study politics to do politics? Absolutely not, and I didn't study politics. So if you're interested, get involved, get active. don't put pressure on yourself that you've got to do it by a certain time in your life. You know, continue doing whatever it is you're doing, whether it's studying or in a job that maybe not politics related. And there's so many issues that we need to work on at a local and national and international level. There's no shortage of things to be done, and every party is crying out for more volunteers, particularly young people, because as you say, young people often don't get engaged in party politics. It'd be great to see more young people getting stuck in.
Yeah, was there something that really annoyed you when you were younger that thought, I know you said schools and children, obviously that's what you're very passionate about, but something that you thought, oh my gosh, I really need to get into Parliament and change things?
The catalyst that pushed me over the edge that made me sign up in the end was actually the Iraq War in 2003. And that's when I joined and started getting active, and at the time I was in a graduate job that I hated and was really bored in.
What was that?
I was working for one of the big accountancy firms, training to be a tax consultant for the rich and famous. I did Kylie Minogue and Elton John's tax returns.
Wow, that's quite cool though, at least to say.
Fun fact. Yeah. So yeah, and because I was really bored and frustrated in my job.
Oh, she's done it. It was the tax returns, the anger, having to bring those up. No. But go on, you were saying.
So I was just that it was then that I was like, I want to do something that I'm passionate about and I'm interested in. I'd got interested in politics. Well, I'd had the interest since I was at school. I'd done A-level politics but didn't get active. And so I started looking for jobs in the Lib Dems. I didn't think anyone would give me a job because I had no political experience, and I couldn't afford to do an internship because I'd moved out of home and I desperately didn't want to move back home. And I was just really lucky that I got given this break in Guildford. And as I say, I was asked to go and run the campaign for one of the most marginal seats in the 2005 general election with zero campaign experience, and I got trained up from scratch. And you know, I'm forever grateful for that opportunity because it then gave me lots of contacts in the party and people who helped me work out how, if you want to be an elected representative, to go forward from there.
I had my first experience of getting to go to Lib Dem conference last year. It was all my first time going to any of the conferences actually. Something that I discovered quite quickly was that everyone loves karaoke, including yourself. So what is your go-to karaoke song? It's the final question that I want to ask you, even though the block's been toppled.
I'm sorry. So it was the duet, Don't You Want Me Baby. That's always my go-to karaoke song that I mastered when I lived in France as part of my degree. I used to, the Brits used to go out and do karaoke. And I did that with one of my local councillors, and which was when you saw me. That was the night after the Lib Dem disco, where I got my DJing debut. So you didn't see me doing my thing on the dance floor and behind the decks.
I'll have to come next year. I'm not living that one down.
And I'm still bitter about the fact that Wendy Chamberlain, our chief whip, beat me as the best DJ of the night.
And if you were going to have a band of 3 people, a Lib Dem, a Tory MP, and a Labour MP, you could pick yourself for the Lib Dem if you want, and they're going to be the best singer. They're going all the way to the X Factor final. They're going to win it.
Who do I want in Labour? I think I'd probably either go with Stella Creasy or Jess Phillips.
Nice, yeah, powerful women there.
And for the Tories, he's not, well, I'm thinking, should I go for a girl band or do I want to go for a mixed band? Is the question.
It is the $1 million question.
What about Tom Tugendhat? Can I pick a minister?
Oh yeah, let's do that. That's quite fun.
Let's go for Tom, Stella, and well, I'll go for myself.
Yeah, go on. Lead singer at the front. Oh, well, thank you, Munira. It's been great playing Jenga with you. I hope you enjoyed playing Jenga for the first time.
I did. I was not very good at it because I think I toppled it far too soon.
We went pretty far, I'd say. Okay, and that is a win for Sophie and a loss for the MP.
Oh, dear.
If you've enjoyed this, make sure you like, comment and subscribe.